Press record. Well, it's another day of quarantine. I don't know how many days it's been. The ban has been lifted a little bit more. This is John Aquarius, and this is another video, another podcast of me talking to myself. Just all the shit that I'm going through. All right, so just let me give you a rundown of what's been going on in my life. Well, I'm still working. I'm trying to make more of an effort to get more active in terms of a active lifestyle because my job is a very sedated job. It's a sitting down in the office type of job. And because of that, I gain a lot of weight because really right after I'm done with work, I go straight to playing a video game or watching TV or whatever it is. Bottom line, I just stay sedated. So what I try to do is counteract the whole situation. So just recently, I've been skateboarding. I'm not a professional skateboarder. I don't do stunts or anything like that. I just bought a longboard back like maybe 3-5 years ago, and I never used it. So I just decided to start using it. It's kind of embarrassing because I'm a grown man riding a skateboard, and I'm a little bit overweight. So yeah, definitely it does look kind of funny of me riding a skateboard. So I get real self-conscious, and that's what keeps me from going back out there. So it's just my own image issue. It's one of those things I need to get over. But I do definitely try to get out there and still do something. I go for a walk or do something like that. There are periods of time when I don't want to do anything, so that is a situation. But consistency is the key, and that's what I'm trying to stick with. So enough about me. What about the world? We're seeing, today is Sunday, June 7th, and so far what we had is a riot and protest for a full week and probably still ongoing about the situation. What sparked it was basically the death of George Floyd. And it's a weird situation because that whole thing, if you ever watch the tape, is very gut-wrenching. But to be honest with you, there were videos that I've seen before that. I seen one where a guy wasn't doing anything. He didn't reach out for anything. And the cop just shot inside his car. Like, it shows you a video of a guy getting shot in his car. And he didn't do anything. All he did was actually comply with everything, all the rules. And the cop started saying, he's got a gun. And he didn't even have any. You see it on the video. So I've seen these videos. And to be honest with you, I've seen them for a while on Facebook. Actually, to the point that I have to scroll past them because it gets to the point that it makes you upset. It makes me upset. I can't really speak for others, but it gets me upset, and in my life right now, when I'm trying to focus on trying to get better in my life, sometimes things like that just put me in a stump, and then it gets harder for me to get over it. I do suffer from severe depression and anxiety and things of that nature. So these videos, especially when you feel powerless over it, there's nothing you can really do. I mean, but these protests and these things are the result of that frustration. I believe I'm not the only one that probably feels that way when you see these videos. And with George Floyd, now I've seen videos where maybe it was clipped to a way that you can't tell whether if the perpetrator was the one who instigated it or not. But with George Floyd, he actually complied with it. He laid on the floor and he didn't do anything. I mean, you didn't even see him struggle. What's even sad for me is that it wasn't just they're all everybody's upset with white cops, but it's like the cop that literally was keeping civilians at bay was an Asian cop. And then the other cop who could have said something he looked like he was mixed. So there was 2 Caucasian cops and 2 ethnic cops. One Asian and the other one mixed. Looks like he was mixed. So, that's something to be, looked at. But, it is something that puts you at that, in many ways when you see these protests and riots and things of that way, you understand where it comes from. If you see these videos, you would understand where they come from. And like I said before, I said this. I even posted this on my Facebook. I think that what people need to do is sit down and try to come up with a legislator or like something that comes up with something that regulates this. Now, a friend of mine who lives next door to me, we were talking about this, and one of the things she was stating is that, well, we need somebody to watch the cops. We need somebody to watch the cops. Well, the cops do have somebody like that. They're called the Internal Affairs. Well, we need somebody other than that. Well, they do, the FBI. If things get out of hand, the FBI, the government watches that, so the government still watches it. But one of the things I remember when I was younger, I watched a movie, and they said there was a movie about a black FBI agent or CIA agent, and one of the things that he said that because he's one of the first black, I guess was loosely based on a true story or whatever, but he said when he first was admitted into the office of the FBI or the CIA or whatever it was, is I said one of the first things they told him was, don't expect us to investigate racial issues. Anything that's racial issue, don't expect us to get into it. So it's a possibility that this kind of situation was overlooked. Like Internal Affairs, FBI's. You just got people who are in these offices and bureaus who just don't give a damn, who just don't care. And or they're bogged down with so many other things that race issues seems to be very small. But in itself, it isn't really a race issue. There are situations where you do see white victims. I seen one a long time ago where a white guy got shot by a cop, and he complied with everything. This guy laid down on the floor when the cop told him, and I think the way he did it, he moved too slow or something, and the cop shot him. I mean, he shot him, and this guy was Caucasian. He wasn't like you couldn't tell. You could tell he was white. And he just moved too slow. And then you find out that some of these cops, they have some crazy psychological disorders. Like the cop that shot this white guy, this Caucasian male, he had issues with a trigger figure before. He apparently had some, you find out a lot of these cops have issues at home or psychological issues. And it's very easy for them to let it out at their job. I mean, think about it. How many of us go to work and, you might use your frustration to work faster or harder? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do nothing about it, but you need to clock in, you need to work, and you need to get through this day. So what you try to do is try to, push in all that frustration, push in all that anger, and then just try to get through the day at work. So I can see how a cop can do that, and where they have an issue, where they have the advantage to actually release it out on someone else. And a lot of times that's the situation. One video I'd like you to revert to, and I'm not, even though I don't adhere to him, but he came up with a really good idea, and it's the amazing atheist, and he basically referred to about issues about this type of issue where cops are going in to work already stressed out, already overworked, already feeling like they're in a war zone. All this type of crazy mentality that's not necessary for the cop to be in. You need to be in a frame of mind, for me at least, you need to be in a frame of mind where you want to save the world, not fight the world. You don't want to be like this is a war zone and you're the Punisher or you're Batman and you need to fight the bad guys. What you need to be like is like, these people are sick, these people need help, and I'm here to help make their issues better. Not let me punch whoever looks like the Joker type shit. And I think that's the mentality. And also he was alluding to like vacation times for cops who have probably went through a lot. If you see that the cop has went through a lot of issues and he looks like he's been stressed out, you don't want that cop on the field. You know what I'm saying? Because he will relieve his stress onto the thing, and then that's a bigger mess for the police force to work on. You gotta you got to clean up his mess, and you got to worry about, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure there's people in the force who don't want to be around somebody like that. Nobody wants to be around someone who, makes you wonder if they're going to be a loose cannon, if you got to worry about your safety as well as theirs. So it's a video, Amazing Atheist, basically, did. And if I find it, if I find a hashtag, I'll excuse me, I just ate fucking chicken like crazy. If I find the thing, I'll put it to here. I put it as a link so you can see what it is. So yeah, it's a crazy world. The COVID situation is up and down. I got my reserves on it. I mean, I'm a big conspiracy buff. But because I don't have a medical degree, because I don't have a fucking science lab, excuse me, a science lab, things of that nature, and I don't know what it is, so I can't sit there and. So it's easy for me to discredit or credit the existence of aliens, because it doesn't take a medical degree to be like, well, if human life exists and we have animals and we have all this type of life, then it's the possibility of aliens that exist. But when you're talking about something where it's a conspiracy of whether the COVID exists or Corona exists or not, well, that becomes like a super science, because it becomes like science within a medical degree where you can prove or disprove, because this is a life and death situation. The belief of aliens and Sasquatch and government overlords type stuff, it doesn't affect you immediately. Whether I believe in aliens or not, or Sasquatch or not, it doesn't affect me at all. You know what I'm saying? So, but this Corona thing, because I can't see it, I can't discredit. So what I do is err on the side of caution. I wear the mask. I try to stay social distancing as much as I can, because the last thing you want to do is be wrong, and then you're in a situation where you're in an incurable situation. I ain't got and my health insurance is not like that. So yeah, and then also, so on another note, now we're fighting about killer hornets, killer wasps, or killer whatever, murder wasps, whatever they are. Now, people forget, like, okay, well, they sting and all that stuff, but people forget something that's really important, that these things are a definite threat to bees. And bees are one of the most important livestock to our culture, to our food, agriculture, and stuff like that. So if you got a bunch of these murder hornets running around, then what you're doing is already adding on to whatever we're facing, because we're already facing an issue with bees. I've heard this a long time ago, for quite some time, that there's a bee epidemic where bees are not producing as much, or they're not surviving as long, things of this nature. So now you add these murder hornets or something, and they're killing off bees. So now the bees who we rely upon have a predator that could affect their livelihood. So whether they're real or not, I don't want to know. Like, I don't know, because they look like something out of a movie. They look like something out of a prop. But to be honest with you, I don't want to see one up close to know if it's real or not. They look hideous. They look like something out of a video game. And I don't want to be seeing one face to face in order for me to prove of it. It's one of those things. So yeah. So now let's add on to, apparently there's this word going around on Facebook that there's like a asteroid heading to Earth the size of some state, Texas or whatever. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. To be honest with you, I think if there was something like that, it would be announced. I don't think we'd have like because anything that's large, that's the size of a city, a small town, or a country, or whatever, that's considered a world ender. That's not just like, it's not like a meteorite that's going to hit any area and is just going to be, all it's going to do is cause a small disaster. Anything the size of a city, a small town, is considered like almost a world ender. And so I don't know, I discredit it because you don't hear it from anyone else. I mean, you hear it on Facebook, so those could be just false rumors. But that would be something else. I mean, that's just like, it's like as if You know, for those who believe in God, like God just like he saved all this for 1 year. You know, throws a virus, causes separation, has a situation where a death occurs, causes riots in the street.